can you turn that for me so I can put it in the position? Nope, the other way. All right, here, put that in there for me. Wait for you all to come on. Sorry, we're on the road.
It's not even working like that.
It should be. There we go. We're good. All right. I don't know what the hell that is. Okay. Anyways, ain't nobody on because this is early on a Saturday morning. I'm driving to Chicago because we're going to a concert. But I know that some of you might have seen my post, and I'm sorry I'm talking loud because the car can be extremely noisy and it's raining outside. So let me know if you're having a hard time hearing me. But I think that some of you all might have seen my post, and I'm sorry I can't look at the screen. I'm driving, about withdrawing from Dayton Pagan Pride. And that's because one of the organizers put up a post about the whole Sephora thing, and he agreed that it was a good idea that they take down the witch kit. But he made a comment about cultural appropriation being overused. And let me tell you why I take an issue with that. And what I don't understand, and I don't understand it sometimes from my own people, I don't understand it from the members of the gay community, which I am part of because I am bisexual. What I don't understand is how motherfuckers don't understand how to stay in their lanes. Let me explain. Saying as a white privileged male in our society that cultural appropriation is overused is the akin to a straight person discussing how homophobia is overused. And my question is, who the fuck are you to say that? When you are part of the oppressive culture that Columbus and instilled the use of cultural appropriation to the point where not even a little bit of it is tolerated anymore, you don't get an opinion in that conversation. And then, you know what? Guess what? Opinions are like assholes, and this is my opinion, and I will be that asshole. Okay? But let's talk about that. When you have privilege, you don't know you had it. In fact, I had a blog post that I wrote several years ago when I had an argument with one of my former friends, and this is not why we're former friends, but we had an argument about whether or not light skin privilege exists and why she was having problems in the same situation where I did not. And I had to apologize because the one thing that you have to know about any form of privilege is you don't know you have it. You are unaware of the nuances of your privilege. And then when somebody's trying to explain to you, and I'm tired of that as well, Alafia, I'm tired of explaining to people because it doesn't matter. It's like when somebody has privilege, it's a cognitive dissonance. They don't want to hear it. Even if they consider themselves to be not racist, not sexist, not homophobic, and rational individuals, they don't think that there's any way, shape, or form a possibility that they could have some privilege. Having privilege in and of itself is not the issue. It's what you do with that privilege is the issue. So the issue is here, if you have cultural privilege and you really do understand that other people have taken parts of a tradition and a culture that has basically, and I'm going to speak from an ATR position. I'm not going to speak from any position but the ATRs because that's what I'm in. So you came in, you told me that the gods and the spirits and the shit that I believe in is devil worship, bad. But the reasons why you did so was because you realized its power and you didn't want your oppressed people to contain and continue and to have that power. And then you realize, oh wow, this is great. So it starts with people outside of the culture coming into the culture seeking spiritual assistance. And money is green. And people take people's money and they will do whatever they need to for them spiritually. But then, you know, if you benefited from it, then you're like, oh, how can I make this my own? That's what cultural appropriation is. I don't have any problems with you having your own personal gnosis or saying, you know what, that tradition is not for me. There are traditions and religions that I do not participate in due to their positions on homosexuality. Voodoo welcomes all, okay? The Loa don't see color, they don't see culture. Most of the Loa seek justice, seek abundance, seek love, okay? And that doesn't have this man-made connotation of race and culture. But the spirit of my religion, which is Haitian Voodoo, is a revolution against oppression. So let's talk about that. How are you consciously in your right mind going to recruit the very same people that you revolted against and introduce them to the secrets of the power that kept us alive thus far? Because baby, I don't give a goddamn if you are a Bible-beating Christian. The only reason why you are still here on this planet is because of the sacrifices, the medicine, and the magic of your ancestors. We would not be alive if it wasn't for our ancestors and what they did. And a lot of that had to do with what modern society calls magic. Our spiritual connection to the primordial forces of the earth. Those very same forces that possessed an entire people and caused those people to revolt against their oppressors. So you're going to tell me that it's okay for someone outside of that oppressed culture to come in, not only join the religion, but disrespect it and try to change it into some bullshit that makes you comfortable. And what I'm going to tell you, and what I'm going to tell anybody is, not in my house, not with my mambo. So what I'm trying to tell you is, there is a difference between educating yourself with a culture, even embracing and loving the deities of the culture, and if so pressed, because all white folks ain't white, and if more of them got their DNA done, they might understand why these African spirits are coming up out of the earth and through the air and out of the water and claiming them. Maybe they would understand then. But I've seen too many people, especially, go into voodoo with the humble heart and the right idea, and then somehow get it twisted. Happens in Christianity all the time. Look at your mega preachers. Look at your pedophiles. Look at the people that take advantage of people in these churches. The sexists, the oppressors, the abusers. Because we are human beings, and human beings are flawed and they're fucked. That doesn't mean that I have to like it. And so when Sephora can do what the fuck ever they want, my issues with Sephora, if we can go in the grocery store, and I can, because I know what I'm doing, but if we could just go someplace like a witch market, like what they have in Peru, and just go get our stuff, and if the jewelry stores and the makeup stores all sold legitimate witchcraft products as well as education, no harm, no foul. But don't you dare, when you don't even, just throw out a fucking crystal and a thing of sage and tell somebody in a set of tarot cards and tell somebody this is witchcraft. The fuck is wrong with you? And you know, I sell witch kits. So let's not talk about commercialization and the selling of the kits. What are you selling them? See, anybody that buys mine, and this is not shameful self-promotion, this is a conscious decision that I made when I decided to sell these kits. What are basic herbs and roots that people need for protection, cleansing, love, prosperity? So when you do want to start to embrace these workings, you have something legitimate that somebody actually gave a fuck about to put. You know how long it takes to build those fucking itty bitty bags in that kit? And to provide a sheet of paper that explains what everything does. So if I say, oh, I need to do an abundance spell. Oh, look, I got this gold candle, and I got some allspice, and I got some 5-finger grass, and I got some cinnamon. Let me get to it. But you're not going to do that with the Sephora Witch Kit. All you're going to do is possibly piss off your ancestors and have some peace from your rose quartz. And understand this, everybody starts somewhere. When I first became a practitioner, and I definitely first claimed myself as a witch, oh, black, white folks everywhere had some shit to say about what I was doing. But what they couldn't say is that I wasn't learning and studying and applying what I knew and sharing it in a proper manner with others. So that is what is necessary in anything. I just got through having a long conversation with my daughter about growth and what our responsibilities are as parents, and how we are put here to shepherd people, and to, if you can't make anybody do anything, but you can give them the tools that you've learned from your mysterious experience and your fuck ups so they can do better. So I'm people call me Mama Liz, Auntie. I am a mentor to people. So I owe a responsibility when I see some whack shit out there to say, you might want to reconsider that. But it's not my idea to be the gatekeeper. I'm an environmentalist. I recycle. I try not to put shit in the environment that is bad. Even when it comes time for some traditional things, there are only certain traditional things that you absolutely have to do that are bad for the environment. Certain spells, how you get rid of certain things. But the most part of this is a connection with nature and a respect for it. And so what happens when the predominant culture comes in and decides that they want to embrace a tradition or a religion is they get down with a lot of it, but then they find pieces that they don't really like and it doesn't sit well with them. So they decide that everybody should make a change. Sometimes those changes happen for the better, but often, right? But people think that they can. There was a big argument on Instagram with this woman talking about how Oshun called her, and couldn't no priest or priestess of Oshun tell her what she was doing was wrong. I wonder what her life is going to be like 5 years from now. My thing is, I get it. If you don't like the rules and the restrictions, like when you come to a fete, you can't wear a red miniskirt. When they tell you to wear whites, your hair covered and dress modestly. And they're going to tell you to wear a skirt. And if you can't get down with that, that's not the religion for you. But you're not going to come in and introduce naked voodoo. Because it is not the religion. It's not the tradition. You're not going to tell me that electronic LED candles are going to have the same effect when it comes to communicating with spirit, because the element of fire is now lost. Now, you may have to do that in your personal situation just for safety reasons, or you're living in an environment where you can't openly practice. But the reality is, at some point, you have to come correct and you know better. And the fact is, don't say that it's acceptable and you know better. That's the problem with cultural appropriation. You know better. You know this ain't got shit to do with what you done run up into, but for some fucking reason, you think it's okay to say, fuck tradition. Now, there are situations where you have to say fuck tradition. When it is oppressive, when it is abusive, things have to change. But let's talk about that. We ain't got no female priests in the Catholic Church, despite that oppression and bigotry. So what do? You don't become a Catholic. You don't support the institution that promotes those things. But to go in and be like, oh, you gonna change because I said you gonna change, and they clearly ain't gonna change, move on. So what I'm saying is, and it's really not, it's not intellectual to tell somebody, well, you really ain't got shit to say about this. But it is real. Love it or like it. If you are not heard, it's just like somebody, it's like me. If say I was just a primary care physician and I was not a surgeon, and I had a patient with a heart problem, and the surgeon was going to operate on them, but I was going to tell the surgeon exactly what he needed to do because that was my patient. I'm not the surgeon. do not have the expertise to change the methodology that he uses. So when you're sitting outside of a culture and you're trying to get into what another culture is doing. So I don't give a fuck about what a non-witch has to say about what I'm doing. Okay? But if I say I'm following a particular established tradition in witchcraft, and they come in all different shapes and forms, from Gardnerian, traditional, fairy, I don't care what kind of witch you are describing. They have a tradition and they have rules. And if you don't like them, it's not your place as an outsider to say, I'm going to change that. What's great about that is, from that new tradition spring, you can go start something else. Don't call it voodoo. You don't want to sacrifice an animal. I get that. You're vegetarian. You don't want to touch meat or animals that are going to be sacrificed and eaten, in most cases, by the very people who are in the ceremonies. But you don't have a problem with people praying over their food. You know, I find the people who don't eat meat, who want to dictate those things in those religions, are also the same people that go after everybody because they eat meat. Now, if a vegetarian comes in, and we have them in our house, or a vegan, we make them understand this is how it's done, this is what we do, we understand your ethics. I even understand why some people can see it's cruel. But once again, that's because of a lack of an understanding from not being totally immersed in the culture. Because when I was in Cap Haitian, I went to 2 little corner stores. Ain't no grocery stores with styrofoam packages. My mentors explained that to me early on. Ain't nobody walking up in a store and picking up their dinner. They're killing their dinner. So, you don't like it? Don't do it. That's the problem with cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation tells you that you can take a sacred Native American headpiece and wear it. Because, especially outside of the sacred context, it's just feathers and a hat. And then some people will go with you on that. But then when the very people who this means everything to tell you that you're wrong, then your entitlement and your temper tantrum comes out. And this is my reality. I don't give a fuck about your temper tantrum. I don't give a fuck. You know what? You know, it's the same thing. I don't expect racists to give a fuck about me objecting to the shit they do. And see, the thing is, you'll be racist, prejudiced, whatever you want in your brain, in your house, in your social group, with your family. But the minute you come out here in these streets and disrespect me, we're going to have some problems. Because just like I am not going to walk up to somebody because they have a Confederate flag hanging on their car and tell them how fucked up they are, don't come to me when I have Black Lives Matter on my shirt or I got Conjure on my license plate. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers fuck with me because of my witchcraft symbols on my car. My car is warded, bitches. Try me, ho, is my philosophy. We live in a great country. You can be what the fuck you want, wherever you want. But you ought to understand, just because you have freedom doesn't mean you can yell fire in a crowded theater. So you're not going to come in people's traditions, and I don't give a fuck what color they are. Okay, that's like me going and trying to make all the Norse gods black. All of the imagery that's used for Thor and for any of those deities, Loki, okay, Odin, and paint them as a black man. Maybe they might have been. But the reality of the matter is in that tradition, and currently in that tradition, those deities are not black. And it is ideal for you to have a cultural connection with them before you begin to work with them. I have people who have been in fairy education and training for years, and they still are not effective magicians. They don't connect with the deities. Now, you can get mad about this, but, you know, don't hate the player, hate the game. I didn't create culture. I didn't create racism. I didn't create race. But race and culture, for all of the negativity that has come about because of its establishment, has produced some really beautiful things for us. Things that make us all different. things that give us new learning opportunities for connecting to other people in other places. And that's good. There's a difference between connecting and coercion. That's, say that correctly because it's early. Coercion. Okay? There's a difference. There's a difference between community and Columbusing. I have nothing against community improvement. I have nothing against going into the hood and fixing up houses and putting in stores and resources that they should have had there a long time ago. But what I don't like, and what you ain't gonna do that is acceptable to me, is to go into those communities and push the very few people who kept them alive out with your pricing structures, with your institutional racism and your fucked up lending practices. And so that's where the problem is. There are people who cross cultures. If somebody wants, I see people going off on black folks sometimes when they do something that, you know, appears to be that they're not claiming their blackness. Like Tiger Woods did, how he's Caucasian, or motherfuckers talking about how they don't see color. But you see, Fuzzy Zeller reminded Tiger Woods he was still a Negro. Okay? So you can opt out of whatever cultural things that you don't like. I make choices about certain cultural things that I don't resonate with my spirit every day. But what I don't have a right to is to come in that culture and tell them, well, this is really fucked up and I'm going to change it. Should cultures change certain things about themselves? It's called growth. Yes, you should. But the reality of the matter is, especially in matters of faith and religion, seriously, if you don't like certain things, don't shit on them. Respect them and find out what works for you. People think that witchcraft is a game. They think voodoo is something from the movies and it is a game, and that it's not even a real religion. And unfortunately, that's happened because of the media. I say this over and over again. Men in Black said it very clearly. You teach people that something is fantasy long enough, and they will start to believe that that's true. So you've got a lot of people believing that especially the occult is something that you can just roll into with a deck of cards, some sage, and a goddamn crystal. Why? Because of the way our culture has set it up to vilify these things or to trivialize them. So my thing is, it's trivializing. It's funny, I'm heading to Chicago for the Fall Out Boy concert, you know, and and that's going to be a place where there's going to be lots of people, lots of races rocking out, enjoying them fucking selves. Okay? I thoroughly enjoyed the last one I attended, and that's why I'm going again. They're going to be here tomorrow, but it's Wrigley. We're from Chicago. Okay? So I'm going to Athenian Candle to pick up some brown candles because my eldest failed to tell me that we had no brown 7-day candles, and I just placed a substantial order that I am not going to pay for shipping again. So I'm going to be in Chicago. I have a wholesale license with them. I'm going to go pick up the candles there. I cannot tell you how many motherfuckers I run into there, usually young white kids, who have conjured up spirits that they, number one, don't know what to do with and cannot get rid of. They've got a Ouija board, because Ouija boards were originally a game. When you trivialize matters of spirit, you can have some problems. And so I don't really think that for people in spiritual traditions, our concern is with some of the people practicing some of the things that we believe in, or even embracing them wholly. It's the trivialization. It's the commercialization. I hated having to put up a fucking website. Where I'm from, the root worker, you found her or him. They whispered, you want to go on over here and talk to such and such, And then there were a few shops, but they called themselves Candle and Varieties. They didn't have, come get your hoodoo here. But as a practitioner and what I always aspired to be as a legitimate practitioner of the practice. I want people that are going to do it to be informed and to get quality products. I can't tell you how many of these stores I've walked into where they talking about some sandalwood powder and it's some fucking paprika, or Ditney Creed and it's some Mexican oregano. It's very specific. That's why they call it spell work, why they call it root work. Years and years and years, and still more years out of my life of study, and it is never going to end. So for somebody up out of no fucking where to pop up and say, we're going to give everybody in the world some sage and some rose and some tarot cards. Nobody says it shouldn't be available for sale, but come on. And, you know, if I was a person who didn't believe in witchcraft, that didn't practice witchcraft, I'm like, yeah, hey, you know, you got a lot of young people out here. And it's somebody who believes in it, who does it. You have a lot of young people out here not knowing what the fuck they doing. Okay? And they don't have any teachers. The teachers have died or work in secret or don't want to fuck with your dumb ass because you won't pay attention. Lots of different reasons. And you just throw that out there. Right. I want people to embrace whatever spiritual path they follow. I don't even care if it's Christianity. But know your Bible. Because when I talk to Christians like my father, and I had a conversation with him when I left Christianity, and I'm like, you don't want to know about the books of the Bible that they took out? You don't want to know, you don't want to read this book called The Origin of Satan. You don't want to read this book called The Jesus Mysteries, The Origins of the History of Hell. You don't want to read how your very faith-based practice was constructed. If I had a problem with war and revolution, I couldn't have been a voodoo son. That's a black power religion right there. So if you're going to believe in something as serious as this, as serious as any spiritual practice, it shouldn't be trivialized. And so that was my issue with Sephora. And the issue with the whole sage thing, like you go to Whole Foods, like Whole Foods is very fucking interesting because I can go in there, and I used to go in there and get a lot of shit from my magic before I got wholesale licenses with different herb and root vendors and things like that. And they sell sage sticks in the cosmetic section. First of all, at least put it in the goddamn herb section, all right? Which leads people to the belief of that this is something, you know, they got it in the health cosmetic area. They try to like mash those up. Right, exactly. And if I wasn't a revolutionary, that wouldn't be the religion for me. But you got a lot of non-revolutionary motherfuckers trying to fill up a jebo. Okay? Yeah, they don't know about the Apocrypha. Walking around in ignorance is my issue. I think it's awesome. I wish that, you know, Walmart.com sells tarot cards. Y'all know that. I don't really like Walmart that much. But yeah, I would love to go up in there and peruse a few decks and pick up what I need out of the convenience. But let's stop and think about what happens every time you make something too convenient for a motherfucker. That's why these fly-by-night internet initiations are bullshit. Nothing worth anything comes easy. I had to have a talk with a voodoo sister who posted something on her wall that alarmed a lot of her friends who cared about her. And I'm like, first of all, once I found out what the problem was, I was like, take that shit down. You have a spiritual family, and you are on the road to initiation. First of all, you cannot be a weak bitch, because initiation starts now. And you are going to be tested beyond belief, and the money that you're going to need to get together, the Loa is going to show you how they make a way out of no way. They always say let go and let God, but then when we come over to these religions, we don't fucking understand the concept. You're going to have problems. Just because you initiate doesn't mean that you're not going to have problems. In fact, they just might get worse than they usually do. And mine had to get worse because the Loa had to show me, because I am a logical human being who my family thinks has lost her complete and total black ass mind, because now I'm a witch with a nose piercing and dreadlocks and What happened to that good biblical scholar Christian girl that we used to know? Well, she fucking got a master's degree in English and she started reading a whole fucking lot. And she realized that she really shouldn't believe all the hype. So it's a matter of these things are important and sacred to people, and what's important and sacred to me doesn't have to be what's important and sacred to other people. What you have to do is respect it. Interestingly enough, I understand why white people want to preserve their race and culture, because as a black person, I understand why I want to conserve mine. I may not agree that they have culture. I may not agree with the concept of race, but I also understand from where I am as a black person, some shit that we just should not allow to happen to us as a people. Okay? But see, the thing is, where white supremacy goes wrong is the feeling that they're being threatened by the continuation of our existence. That's the problem. I am not trying to change baseball, apple pie, in the American way. Because if I don't want it, I ain't gotta have it. That's a glory of being a goddamn American. But guess what the other glory is? I can leave. I love motherfuckers tell me go back where I came from. I know where I come from now. I just might do that. But I'm not going to sit up and I'm not weird, but and that's what one thing. Hillary's just a special character all the way around. I don't really care for her or Bill for lots of reasons. But one thing she was right about is I ain't here to change no hearts and minds. I'm here to change policies. I'm here to change laws that make it illegal for you to act on your bullshit and to take my life or to remove my ability to get an education. That's where I got a problem. I want everyone, whatever your belief system is, to live in peace. To be free to believe what you want to believe without hurting other people. That's what your goal should be. It ain't my job to judge how ignorant you are. And yeah, I've got plenty of opinions on racists and how ignorant they are and all of that. But it is not my duty to change you. And this is where it comes into the problem of cultural appropriation. It is also really, at the end of the day, not our job to teach you how to act. But if you want to embrace something that is part of a culture, it is your responsibility to understand the mores and the social norms. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. Like I said, once again, that's the beauty of being an American. Isn't that what they say? So what I want to know is, especially with cultural appropriators and with racists and people who are bigots but swear they're a fucking ally, because that's your biggest problem right there, is what gave you the place to tell someone who's been victimized and oppressed how they should work their way out of and how they should function through their oppression when you're a part of the system that built it? The only way that you are going to be an answer to this problem is to fight the very system of privilege that you were given every chance you get. And that doesn't mean that you gotta be a social justice warrior on the internet. But if you are white and somebody makes a nigga joke and you're sitting there, or somebody makes a judgment and says, oh, this black girl, if you are an ally, you're gonna say, well, what does her blackness have to do with what she did? You see what I'm talking about? Folks don't know how to be allies. Folks, and it's the whole white privilege mentality. It's the whole Columbusing mentality. It's, oh, I don't like the way this is, but I'm going to come in and I'm going to tell you how I think it should be fixed when you were part of the fucking problem in the first place. Nobody wants to sit and listen. And a lot of that has to do with youth. and just plain ignorance. Some people never come out of that youth where you're willing to grow, where you're willing to listen. That's why I tell people, you ain't got to tell me the other side of the story on my wall. I'm old enough and fucking smart enough where I've already looked at it and I don't like it. And I can say I don't like it. Now, everybody doesn't have the same rules for their wall that I do, and that's why I felt compelled to come into his conversation and say, you on some shit. And, you know, they always kill me because they talk about how, well, this group of Native Americans say they don't have a problem with it. You know, right here on the post where I said I'm pulling out of Dayton Pagan Pride, another white person said they had a problem and that he was out of pocket, but then they went and defended somebody who was defending the use of sage. So I didn't completely get down with what they said anything. But I did appreciate that somebody else called bullshit on it. Because otherwise, other appropriators jump in to justify and sage their own guilt, to justify why they're doing fucked up things. What are we as humans if we don't have our traditions and our cultures? Especially those ones that help us to thrive. Especially those ones that are incredibly, I'm going 80, y'all, pay attention. Especially those ones that are incredibly beneficial to our well-being. We are the guardians of that, okay? You're going to have to watch it again, Stephanie. Just watch the replay. We are the guardians of the things that are good, that help us be better people and help us survive. So, to be a witch, all witches, all colors, and to see trivialization of the very thing that has shaped our faith and changed our lives, yeah, we're going to have a problem with that. Just like Christians have a problem with them selling this stuff in the store because it challenges the faith that made them who they are and shaped their lives. Okay? It's not to say that these things should not be commercially sold. But too often, and I talk about it on here all the time, especially in the intranets, conjurers, white and black alike, they decide they got a deck of tarot cards, they realize they have an ability, they have a passion for it, and all of a sudden they go into business and don't know shit from Shinola. There was this person who was leading a group of black women, mostly, in magic, and come in and asking me what the difference was between dill seed and dill weed. You know, trying to use actually dill weed in replacement for dill seed. And when I explained to her, I said, do you realize what you're doing here? You know, you don't have a basic understanding of this herbal knowledge, but you want to put up altars to deities that you don't have any relationship with. And you want to instruct other people about how they should be carrying on their magical practice. Do you realize how dangerous that is and how bad that is for your fellow practitioners? And this person was black. And what did I get? I got deleted. I got blocked. A hard head makes a soft ass, y'all. There are beliefs that I had going into learning magic that have changed significantly. Through learning, through understanding. I try not to teach, and people are like, why don't you teach this? Why don't you teach that? Because there are some things that I want to spend more time with. So that when I do go and give this information, it's from a variety of areas, sources, and people and practitioners. So that you have a balanced view. Because that's what college used to be for. Not to learn the skills to get a job, but to make you a more educated person about the things that go on around you in this world, in this galaxy. So there's a reason why I don't throw out new classes every time I wipe my ass. I've got plenty of ideas. But I also understand that I have a responsibility. And yet you can't just shit on somebody's culture or trivialize it for the sake of $1. And would I have made a couple grand probably at Dayton Pagan Pride? Yeah, I keep doing better every year. But baby, there ain't enough money in the world. There ain't enough weed in the world. There ain't enough alcohol in the world that will make me sacrifice pieces of my soul and sit down and break bread with people who don't mean me no good. Because the reality of the matter is, those are the same motherfuckers that will tell you that you have to be involved with a family who has abused you. Because that's really what it is. Sitting down with other people of the human race who don't mean you no good, or aren't even willing to understand your viewpoint on things that mean the most to you. So I'm gonna get off of this because I only had 169 miles on this particular stretch of highway that I'm on, and I don't know where I am right now. You would think after going back and forth from Chicago to Ohio all my life, I would know my fucking way in the dark, right? That's just space and directions have never been my strong suit. So I'm gonna let you guys go, but share this with your friends. It's not about wanting to keep people out of something. It's wanting to keep things that are beautiful, beautiful. And it is. Sometimes you do have to make radical changes. But everybody knows this. Change comes from within. And so, for all the people that I've ever spoken to about things who have disagreed with me about an issue, they ain't changed. They've deleted, they've blocked me, they don't talk to me no more, but they ain't changed. That has to come from within. Now I'm about to go and get me some Italian beef and some sour pickles and some Ben's noodle and rice pad thai and some royal Thai, the best shit in the world that I cannot get in Ohio. And I'm going to go to Wrigley Field and have a really good fucking time. And I hope that you all have a blessed day, because I am not going to be on the internet all day trying to talk to motherfuckers about why I am not participating in pagan pride and pretty much most majority white spaces as far as magic is concerned from now on. It's completely unnecessary for me. Love, peace, and Afro Grease. Stay black.